I'm David Corral, Vice President here at Whitechapel Memorial Park Cemetery. We're standing here in front of the Polar Bear Monument where today we honor 90th Memorial Day service that we've had here to honor Michigan's own, Detroit's own, the Polar Bears, who went to fight the Bolshevik Russians from 1918 to 1919. And here beside us are 56 of those who died and who were left there in Russia until 1929, which they came back, which a recovery mission was taking place, where 86 bodies were recovered, and 56 of those recovered are buried around here in this special Polar Bear Monument surrounding the Polar Bear Monument. Here we are standing in front of the Polar Bear Monument, which was dedicated on May 30th of 1930, which was sculpted by famous sculptor Leon Hermant. This monument was dedicated on that day in which 41 of these brave soldiers were laid to rest, where over 10,000 people attended that Memorial Day service, accompanied by state and military officials that day, and it was just a wonderful way to be able to honor these men by dedicating this monument by Whitechapel to these polar bears so they would never be forgotten.
All right, good morning. I'm Father Jerome Soklinski. I'm a retired Navy chaplain from Oceanside, California, and 339th is my second favorite military unit, the favorite being whatever Marine unit I used to be assigned to. But I followed the exploits of the 339th and the other expeditions in Russia since my childhood, and it's an honor to be here today to honor the fallen and the veterans who are laid to rest here.
On behalf of Whitechapel, we'd like to thank Mike Grobel, President of the Polar Bear Memorial Association, Kevin Stark, Bill Mundy, Blake Kasbricks, and Larry Chase for their hard work in helping to organize today's ceremony and their efforts all year round to keep the memory of the polar bear alive. We'd like to thank for their participation in today's ceremony the 1st 334th Army Reserve and the volunteer reenactors for their contribution to today's ceremony, and our singer today, Penny LeBuc, accompanied by Jeff LeDuc. We'd like to thank our special guest this year, Lieutenant Colonel Roderick A. Halsler, the U.S. Army, for being here today and their participation. I'm going to stop here. I also want to say thank you to our staff. It wasn't for our staff, Superintendent Steve Preckey, who's behind you by the water cooler, and his men, and the foreman, Lenny Strike, Howard Stute, and Bob Bozick, and the rest of the staff are helping put this program together, the chairs, the tent, the flags. Thank you, gentlemen. Memorial Day is a day we remember those who served our country and paid the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. We must always remember that what sacrifice our servicemen and women have endured for our liberties. Once again, we remember the true meaning of Memorial Day as we remember the polar bear soldiers who fought and died in World War I, and all those who served and died while serving in the armed forces from all of the wars. May God bless them. May God bless the United States of America and its veterans of all wars, and the United States Armed Forces throughout the world today, who we pray that God will bless them with protection. Once again, on behalf of Whitechapel, thank you for coming.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Second Memorial Day service for the polar bears held right here, concurrent with the dedication of the Polar Bear Monument. Today's service is the 90th consecutive such Memorial Day service to be held here. And the association, the Polar Bear Association of Veterans, following their return, wanted this Memorial Day service tradition to continue in perpetuity after their association ceased to exist. They felt that their country had forgotten them while they were fighting the Bolsheviks during the winter of 1918-1919, and it was important for them that their fallen comrades' ultimate sacrifices not be forgotten. Therefore, they made arrangements with a local branch of an international charitable organization to conduct the annual service here after their association disbanded in 1983. That arrangement worked for a few years, but eventually Stan Bozich, the late Stan Bozich, voluntarily took over that responsibility. 3 meritorious service medals, 4 Army Commendation medals, the National Defense Service Medal with Bronze Star, the Korean Defense Service Medal, plus he's earned both the Canadian and U.S. Army Master Parachutist badges. Lieutenant Colonel Hosler retired from active duty in 1997 and moved to Youngstown, Ohio with his wife Florence, who is a Navy veteran. Their daughter and son-in-law are both U.S. Army veterans. As a retired officer, Lieutenant Colonel Hosler has served as an instructor for his local Army Junior ROTC program, and also as the Assistant Professor of Military Science for the Army ROTC program at Youngstown State University. He's the current commander of American Legion Post 15 in Poland, Ohio, and president of the Ohio Council of Chapters of the Military Officers Association of America. For the past 4 years, he has served as the commissioner from the Mahoning County Veterans Service Commission. Lieutenant Colonel Hosler has been reading and researching the subject of the American intervention in Russia for a number of years. He's recently written an article about the American North Russia Expeditionary Force and the Allied intervention in the Russian Civil War, which has been submitted for publication in the U.S. Army's Historical Foundation's On Point magazine. Please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Rod Hosler.
Glad to be here. Ladies, gentlemen, veterans, active duty and reserve component soldiers, family, friends, and guests, and especially Mr. Mike Grobles, who is the grandson of Corporal Clement A. Grobles, who is a Distinguished Service Cross awardee, who was an I Company of the 339th Infantry. Mike, thanks for inviting me. And thank you all for coming out today as we recognize, remember, and honor the men and women of our armed forces that gave their lives in the service of this case. They came from Michigan and a few other states, and little did these soldiers from Michigan know that when they went to fight on the Western Front in France, that they would end up in North Russia, fighting not only Bolsheviks, but miserable conditions, bitter cold, prolonged winter darkness, disease, filth, isolation, and loneliness. Always outnumbered and always fearful of the ever-present enemy that surrounded them, they continued to soldier on and became the best Allied combat troops in North Russia. And during their 10 months there, they fought 3 major pitched battles and scores of skirmishes and firefights against the Bolsheviks. They had to contend with substandard rifles, inadequate clothing and equipment, bad food, poor shelter, and dreaded Spanish flu. They left Camp Custer as amateur soldiers, but returned tough, battle-hardened professionals. But their service and combat accomplishment would go unrecognized here in America for many years to come, except perhaps here in Michigan. They were not the glorious doughboys that fought the Kaiser's army to the peace tables. Sent to Russia, they remained there well after the armistice was signed to fight the Bolsheviks. The first major battle fought between them lasted 4 bloody days. And when the Battle of Tulgas was over, the American soldiers knew that they were up against a very tenacious enemy. Subsequent battles around Shenkursk, Nizhny Gora.
My name is Steve Stevens. I am with the Polar Bear Memorial Association. I am the Sergeant at Arms. I also belong to the American Legion, Birmingham, Troy, Post 14. Out here today to honor the Memorial Day service at the Polar Bear Memorial, which during World War I, 5,800 Americans, mostly from Michigan, got sent over. They thought they were going to France, but they ended up going to North Russia, and they landed at Archangel, and they were there to protect our interests. We had a supply depot over there, and in the process, the Bolsheviks had came and took everything, and we were under British control at the time, and they sent us to go look for and retrieve the weapons and ammo and supplies. And during at the end of World War I, the Polar Bear Memorial polar bears were still fighting for their lives over in North Russia, and it was almost 6 months after the war ended that we were able to get our guys to come back. And it took the families of the unit that was over there screaming and hollering to the president, to the Senate, to the congressmen, to finally break down and send transports to bring them home.
Can you tell me a little bit about the items?
A lot of these items are,
Just speak a little bit.
okay, a lot of these items are from descendants that were there during Russia, like the medals.
He gave orders for the other wounded to be evacuated first and he'd be left behind.
Some of the different stuff that was brought back as souvenirs. You have some of the uniforms that they wore while they were over there. And these 2 plaques here are some of the medals that about the guy who donated it to the museum.
When his detachment was almost
From
polar bear position, and opened fired on the enemy, stopping their advance, allowing his comrades.
Thank you so much for this information.
It's my pleasure.
It's a good.
spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Thank you for coming. This concludes our program, but please remain standing as the 1334th Training Support Battalion retires our colors.
Color guard, right, face. More, arm. Forward, march.
Thank you for coming. See you next year.
Just happy to be part of this, even though we're honor guard from Birmingham Legion Post 14. We've been doing this for a number of years. Glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. No, we're sons of veterans.
Sons of, oh wow.
Yes, ma'am. And that's why there's the American Legion. There's also the Sons of the American Legion.
Thank you. So we're good shape,
She wants your name and why you're here.
Oh, Robert. Yes.
What is your name, sir?
I'm Robert Capo. My father, Michael Capo, was a polar bear, and he's no longer with us. I'm trying to carry on a tradition. I'm 91 years old. I'm sorry. I'm a Korean War veteran myself. Yes. But I always thought that my father was in North Russia and I was in North Korea. But we're very happy to carry on his tradition. When he was alive, we all came here with him. And it's a beautiful ceremony. And I will keep coming as long as I can. Thank you.
Maybe if I can ask some kind soul.
You want to two of you together?
That'd be great. Of course, we being the non-combatant, I'll stand on the non-weapon side.
Thank you. All right. Very good. Ready?
Yep.
Yeah. Very good.
Thank you.